*719 # COVID-19 inazuilika. Jilinde, linda familia na jamii. Ujumbe huu umeletwa kwako na serikali ya Kenya.
All right, a very good afternoon to you. Thank you so much for staying with us and for creating time to catch the latest happenings in Kenya and beyond borders right here on KBC Lunchtime News. A day when a lot indeed has been happening in the country, from the corridors of justice to a conversation that touches on the division of revenue bill, as counties are still waiting to receive funds, with the conversation now revolving around which formula to use, whether they should go the CRA way or how the Senate Budget Committee is actually proposing. We will be going into details to see which way forward for the allocation of funds in the counties, as well as matters mitigation measures on COVID-19 in our comprehensive news bulletin. My name is Serfine Achieng and our sign language interpreter is Lucy Mwaura. Remember, you can be part of this broadcast as well. Just join us on social media at KBC Channel 1 and share your thoughts with us on some of the stories that we are following for you. But right now, we want to start straight away with a case that is currently ongoing. It's the pre-trial hearing of the corruption case against Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko and 16 others. And there was a lot that came forth from this particular case that saw Nairobi Metropolitan Service lose about 357 billion shillings. We will be giving you details about this case later. Now, we kick off with what is happening across the counties. Counties have been warned to brace for challenging times and heavier burden as the cases of COVID-19 in the grassroots continue to surge. Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa says the current pandemic will determine if the move to devolve health services was timely. The development coming as the national and county governments enhanced efforts to mitigate the adverse effects of the pandemic across the counties. Beatrice Getich gives us the details.
Concern over the surge in new COVID-19 infection across the country remain rife as the pandemic continues to devastate the globe, with scientists and government struggling to find a vaccine for the virus. Speaking in Naivasha after attending an Intergovernmental Relations Technical Committee meeting, Devolution Cabinet Secretary Eugene Wamalwa called on counties to brace for challenging times as infection numbers continue to rise. Wamalwa saying that since the partial lockdown in some regions was lifted, hundreds of people have migrated from urban centers to their rural homes, a move that would stretch services in respective to health centers. Wamalwa noting that the government and partners had already released over 13 billion shillings to counties towards increasing their beds capacity in isolation wards.
So we are hoping the counties would utilize that money prudently to build their capacity to improve health services. We are also, through the Ministry of Health, able to release another 3 billion, almost 2.8 billion of which is going directly to the counties. And this should also help the counties.
In the meantime, health workers attending to COVID-19 patients in Kilifi County have decried what they say are painful experiences of being stigmatized for handling victims of the deadly pandemic since it was reported in the country. The health workers who have been and are still risking their lives to handle those who have tested positive claim their sacrifice is costing them both at workplace and in the society, as people fearing interacting with them due to the nature of their job.
Kwa hivyo stigma iko na inatisha, kwa sababu ukiona wale watu unafanya nao kazi wanajitenga na wewe, na huu ni ugonjwa uko na hawa wagonjwa ni wetu, ni lazima tuwahudumie.
And we feel now it is most important, given the fact that there has been the lifting of cessation. We feel we need to mobilize quickly and counter that, because freedom comes with responsibility. So we need to really mobilize and hit the ground running, just reminding and re-emphasizing people that lifting of cessation is not and should not mean that we are through and we have flattened the curve where this pandemic is concerned.
Elsewhere, Thika Town Member of Parliament Patrick Wanaina has raised concern over the fate of private school teachers who are facing uncertain times due to the closure of schools occasioned by the COVID-19 pandemic. The lawmaker calling on the national and county governments to come up with counseling programs for those with mental illness due to the effects of COVID-19.
This corona thing has made these people very, very poor to a level where they cannot even have food to eat. So with these kind of things, people who had their lives going on. So the next thing is they start overthinking and the situation becomes worse to a level where a lot of them are suffering from depression. And these are the people you're saying they need to be taken care of very, very quickly.
And Equity Bank Foundation has donated personal protective equipment to 3 hospitals in Kiambu County, geared towards containing the spread of COVID-19. Speaking during the handing over of the PPEs to Kiambu Governor, Equity Bank CEO James Mwangi alluded that the donation is to help the medics protect themselves as they intensify the fight against the contagion.
We think we'll have enough resources to be able to support you for the next 18 months if you prudently use the PPEs. So I want to really appeal to you for prudent usage and concentrate as the stock levels come down. Please reorder.
Kiambu Governor James Nyoro appealed to the government to increase its funding to counties to help the demonstration enhance their capacity. Nyoro says Tigoni Level 4, Kiambu Level 5 and Thika Level 5 hospitals will benefit from the donation to combat the pandemic.
We are a county that also is so close to the epicenter, as I said, that we are appealing to the national government, and more particularly the Ministry of Health, to put us together with the other frontline border counties like Busia and Kajiado, because of our close proximity to Nairobi.
All right, that is a voice of Emily K. Bade in a story that was compiled by Beatrice Gatonye Ngetich. Now, in a show of compassion to the vulnerable and in support to the needy, a representation from the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation led by the Managing Director, Naim Bilal, among others, visited the Motherly Care Children's Home in Ruai to present donations and even just have a chance to interact with children at this particular children's home. Let's just take you straight there to that particular function to follow in on what is happening and what some of the guests are saying at this particular minute.
As a result, we are going to eliminate corona. Having said that, within the KBC facilities, we have installed 39 hand washing machines. We have got temperature guns, and we are observing all those protocols that the government has set as prescribed to Kenyans. We are now working in shifts, but of course, working shift has not compromised the quality of the broadcast that we offer you, and it will never compromise. Because as you know, KBC is a national broadcaster. We employ the best, and actually we even train for those other media houses because we consider them as children of KBC and not competitors. So anyone who is working for KBC at whatever shift is capable of giving you the quality that Kenyans deserve. And this we promise that we'll give you. On our partnerships with the churches, we have also partnered with the Catholic Church. Every Sunday from 9:30 a.m. to around 10:30, we have live mass from the Holy Family Basilica. We are partnered with the Anglican Church. We have church service from 11 o'clock up to around 12 o'clock. We are partnered with our Muslim brothers. Every Friday, we are hearing activities of mosques, but the one based in Nairobi. So at KBC, we believe in freedom of worship. And we believe it is a right for every Kenyan to belong to whichever church he or she wants. But there is no need of calling yourself a Christian if you don't want to obey the basics of Christianity, which is being mindful of your brother's affairs. You cannot purport to be a Christian, therefore, if you are not following the guidelines set in place by the government through the Ministry of Health for the containment of COVID-19. Because as it is, there will be no one to preach to if coronavirus wipes all of us out, isn't it? So it is our responsibility as church leaders, as church ministers, to refuse to do things that contribute to the growth of the coronavirus in Kenya. We know the churches have now been reopened, and we know their numbers. We know we are being told that if you are more than 59 years of age, you can't go to church. Please stay at home if you are 59. Jack told us about faith. Very powerful. We shall live by faith. You don't need to come to this building to live by faith. You only need to listen to what Jack is preaching through KBC and live by faith. When the time comes for you now to send your tithe, M-Pesa is available, isn't it? Just send it there. It will reach the pastor. And then, once the curve now flattens, we shall all flock back to our places of worship and be together again as a large church family. So, let us have a declaration at Motherly Care Children's Home, and which is that we are going to flatten the COVID-19 curve so that these children can now participate fully in learning.
Mulila, the director of the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation Board, just currently speaking at a function that is currently underway at the Motherly Care Children's Home in Ruai, as the Kenya Broadcasting Corporation extended its social corporate responsibility, showing compassion and generosity to the needy in the society, of course partnering with the Seventh-day Adventist Church all the way in Ruai currently happening. The children's home is going to be receiving an assortment of donations, which also include personal protective equipment, which is going to be coming in handy at this particular time when the COVID-19 pandemic is something that we are all battling with. We will be giving you details about this particular function in our subsequent news bulletin. We have our very own news so far on the ground for us. Now, moving on, a section of political leaders have condemned the ongoing state evictions targeting individuals residing in gazetted forest lands, while castigating the forceful removal of families in most areas in Nakuru County. Bomet Governor Hilary Barchok lamented what he termed as insensitive and inhumane manner in which the exercise was conducted, especially during the coronavirus pandemic. The county chief now wants the government to stop the evictions, even as local leaders claim that a majority of those affected have been subjected to untold suffering. But amid the condemnation, Environment Cabinet Secretary Keriako Tobiko now says the government will not relent in its quest to reclaim illegally acquired land inside gazetted forests.
Women and the children, which is quite unfair at this particular time tukiwa tunapambana na ugonjwa wa corona. I think it is humane on our side kama serikali tukifurusha watu when we are fighting corona. It is not fair at this time to remove people is being a bit insensitive.
Endelea Morishoni is having a negative impact with us. Bwana Tobiko, kuwaumiza wananchi ambao wako huko, wako na shida. Why don't we have a government who is concerned? Can you evict people in a humane way? Transport them, take them to the right place. It is very painful. We are leaders. We are suffering as leaders. They are now asking us for support. We do not have the money from the government to dish to them. It is very painful when we see the government in pretense of protecting the forest and now injuring the human beings. Which one is more valuable?
We have no issue at all respecting those areas that were lawfully degazetted and excised for a public purpose, because they still remain part of a public asset. But the huge part of that forest has been grabbed, as to use the now popular terminology in Kenya, grabbed by individuals using various decoys and proxies and companies and entities and so on and so forth.
Now on to matters politics. The axe that recently fell on Orange Democratic Movement members during the purge instituted in parliamentary committees appears to have been extended to their constituencies. Days after he was de-whipped from the budget committee, Jomvu Member of Parliament Badi Twalib has been replaced as chairman of the ODM party in his constituency. The Orange Party now says the lawmaker is part of members who have been disloyal to the outfit and its leadership.
Badi Twalib, who is serving his second term as MP for Jomvu, was recently de-whipped from the National Assembly's Budget and Appropriations Committee. His ouster from the privileged position coming following a purge on opposition members who are deemed to have shifted their allegiance to Deputy President William Ruto. And the disciplinary action by the Orange Party did not end there. The party's Mombasa branch chairman Geoffrey Busaka confirming that the under-fire lawmaker has been removed from office of chairman at his constituency.
Nataka nieleze kwamba kwa sababu ambacho tuliamua kamati ivunje nyuma ni kwamba kamati yote asilimia 90 ama 95 yote ilikuwa ni kamati ambayo inafanya kazi na mheshimiwa Badi Twalib. Na tangu mheshimiwa Badi Twalib aanze kwenda na mrengo ule wa Tangatanga, wale wanati wa Jomvu ambao walikuwa wanafanya kazi katika komiti wameneglect kazi za chama.
The legislator has been replaced in an acting capacity by Mikindani Ward Member of County Assembly Renson Juma Thoya. The embattled MP is accused of abandoning party affairs in the constituency. Meanwhile, the National Assembly is set to hold a special sitting on Wednesday to adopt leadership changes instituted in various House committees. Lawmakers that are pro-building bridges initiative, including Kanini Kega of Kieni, William Kamket of Tiati, and Muturi Kigano of Kangema, are set to be installed to leadership positions of some of the most powerful committees previously led by pro-William Ruto's MPs. Kevin Washira, Channel 1 News.
All right, that report by Kevin Washira takes us to our first break right here on KBC Lunchtime News. Don't go too far, but if you have to, carry us along with you. We are streaming this live for you on Facebook and on YouTube, both at KBC Channel 1. Welcome back, and thank you so much for staying with us. Now, 357 million shillings is approximately the amount the Nairobi Metropolitan Service lost in a scandal that has now seen the Nairobi Governor Mike Mbuvi Sonko and 16 others facing corruption-related charges. The hearing to that case was happening today, and it's currently underway at the Milimani Law Courts. We are going to take you there live right now to listen in to some of the proceedings.
Yes, Mr. Kihara, tell us what you have done. Can I see the inventory? Give me the inventory.
Your Honor, this change I hand over to Ms. Michelle, which is sitting from the ACC.
Yes? Now let me guide you on what to do. Take out the first limp of the inventory. Where is it? Keep safe distance. You take out the first limb of the inventory. We'll see what it has and proceed from there.
Directions from yourself.
Yes.
Which might save us a lot of time.
Yes.
As you can see, I have 4 boxes in front of me.
Yes.
And this is purely directions from you to ensure we save time. I've gone through each of these bundles that have been presented to me. Now, there's one particular issue that I feel if we proceed this way, will result in another adjournment and another. The issue is simply this. The pre-trial rules are very clear in terms of ensuring that matters proceed in the shortest and quickest time possible. That is one of the guidelines that the court is well aware of. The challenge I am finding here is simply this. Just for direction, any of these bundles here, none of them is paginated. The problem with that, Your Honor, is this. If we go now into the inventory, you'll come across document upon document that is not paginated. The problem with that, Your Honor, is this. At this point in time, as I speak to you, I cannot tell you how many pages each of these things has, which means, therefore, the court will be engaging in an exercise in futility, because what it means, therefore, is by the time you finish one set of inventory, you will realize that there is no pagination. They have used their own very unique system of numbering, which doesn't make sense. So what I'm humbly suggesting, Your Honor, is this. If you can confirm through just directions that indeed what I'm saying is correct, then you will find that we are going to engage in an exercise in futility, because what it means is, even if you go through the inventory and my suggestion is very simple, Your Honor. Just take one document, don't go through the inventory, just take any bundle, confirm that it's not paginated. Once you confirm that, then issue a direction that they go and paginate the documents. After all, it's their documentation that they are presented to this court. Then thereafter we come for pre-trial. Because what's going to happen? No, sorry, let me finish, please. The point we're facing is this. If we go the way we're going now, you will find a situation where we may be forced to accept that yes, Your Honor. Not at all, but I've looked at the guidelines. In fact, in particular, pre-trial case.
I can tell you that.
Yes. The only issue, I'm happy to hear it will be addressed. The only thing is that my thought process is if it's addressed much later, we'll be going in circles again.
On indexing and pagination, that is the first priority of this court.
Then I'm at peace. Then I'm at peace, Your Honor.
The court requires.
Yes.
Even in Kenya, we are not allowed to look at anything. We are just allowed to look at a document. Actually, it needs a threshold of time.
Fair enough, Your Honor.
And how am I guided that each and every one of you has that document?
All right, there you have it. That is the Nairobi Governor, Mike Mbuvi Sonko, who is this morning appearing alongside 16 others before Milimani Law Court's Magistrate Douglas Ogoti for a hearing of the corruption case. That also, among others, he's being charged of abuse of office and irregular payments that saw the Nairobi County lose about 357 million shillings. And earlier we saw submissions from lawyers, Tom Ogenda, who argued that the matter was not ready for trial. The lawyer actually sought to be supplied with 53 documents from the Ethics and Anti-Corruption and the DPP. And of course, we are going to be giving you more details about this particular case and what are some of the issues that are coming forth from the arguments from the lawyers at the Milimani Law Courts this morning. Serfine Robi is following up on this particular case for us. Now we want to focus on matters nutrition. The coronavirus pandemic continues to devastate the globe months after the first case was discovered in Wuhan, China, in Kisii County, right in Kenya, where just a few COVID-19 cases have been reported. Nutrition therapy has been adopted by many to boost the immune system and ward off a virus that is indiscriminately sweeping through the world with the devastating effects. Have a look.
The country has so far recorded 10,294 cases of COVID-19, with most counties in the country currently having reported positive cases of the virus, with Nairobi and Mombasa bearing the brunt. Months after Kenya reported her first case, Kisii County has recorded 5 cases of COVID-19 so far, 4 of which have recovered. Residents here attribute the low numbers of infection to good nutrition. With Kisii County well endowed with plenty of nutritious foods, residents say they have taken advantage of this to boost their immunity.
Nauza pilipili hoho, ndania, nyanya, greens like skuma, spinach. Najua pilipili hoho inasaidia kwa mwili, kwa kama wenye au mama wazee inawasaidia sana kukaa na nguvu, na greens inasaidia kwa mwili kwa magonjwa tofauti tofauti.
Hii brokoli kwanza ni mboga, la pili kwa sababu tunaiuza, kuna watu wako na pressure, sukari, hiyo kichanganya na hii ambayo inaitwa cauliflower, kiweka tangawizi, kuna turmeric, kuna cucumber, iko huko hiyo ya green, kuna celery. Hivi viungo yote ukiweka pamoja, hata mwe yako na alisas, mwe yako na asthma, hivi vitu inasaidia sana.
Abagusi Culture and Development Council Secretary General Bosire Angwenyi says such respiratory diseases are not new in the community's traditional setup. At a time conventional medicine was almost unheard of, the community knew that a failure to eat enough and nutritious foods was a sure way of coating infections.
Pengine ni mgonjwa. Kuna njia ambao walikuwa wanamtafutia chakula mbalimbali ya kukula alafu aongeze nguvu mwilini. Tulikuwa na mboga ya kienyeji ambayo ilikuwa inapatia mtu nguvu sana. Asa ile inaitwa chinsaga, bitter herbs. Na kuna ingine inaitwa hii managu. Kuna ingine inaitwa emboga. Hiyo ni jina la Kiswahili lakini inaitwa emboga. Mama akichuna mboga anaongeza hiyo kidogo kidogo, alafu enderamba iko kidogo, anaongeza mtu anakula anapata nguvu.
Viral diseases including measles and pneumonia existed, with patients displaying general body weakness, lack of appetite and breathing difficulties, but were treated rather easily. Dr. Richard Onkware, who is also the County Director of Public Health, says there's need for Kenyans to eat healthy to boost their immunity as one way of resisting the COVID-19 disease.
Disease does not cause very severe disease in most people. It depends on your immunity. If your immunity is good, you will tend to have the mild or asymptomatic forms of the disease. And you will find that the people who proceed to severe illnesses are people who are over 65 years, people who have other comorbidities, medical conditions like diabetes.
Residents say the solution to most diseases lies in proper nutrition, further noting that researchers can engage some traditional community experts with a view of coming up with a remedy for COVID-19 and related illnesses. Caroline Kamar reporting for Channel 1 Lunchtime News.
All right, these are ordinary things, by the way, that we ought to have been observing even before COVID-19. But like they say, coronavirus has indeed taught us a lot of lessons. Immune system needs to be boosted, and we need to adhere to some of these nutrition mechanisms just to make sure that that happens. Now, we want to move on. A section of leaders drawn from Mount Kenya region have rallied behind the formula proposed by the Commission on Revenue Allocation to be used in the sharing of county revenues. Even as the counties remain cash-strapped due to the impasse at the Senate, Limuru Member of Parliament Peter Mwathi now says distribution of funds on the basis of population as opposed to the landmass remains the best way to ensure fair development in the country. The lawmaker further wants the National Assembly to follow suit and ensure that funding is channeled to constituencies and is disbursed based on the number of people in the said electoral units.
For one item, that is that resources follow population, because population is the one that pays for taxation, and therefore all the monies that are going to be allocated at the national level must put at the highest percentage the issue of consideration of population. And that means even though we may not have to add the number of MPs, but the allocation per constituency should always follow the population that is there. And that is why we want not only the allocation of county revenue, even the allocation of CDF money to follow the population, because we are higher population than most other constituencies where they require development.
And now some good news for the youth in the country. Over 5,000 jobless youths living in informal settlements within Mandera County are set to benefit from the Kazi Mtaani program aimed at cushioning them from adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The project, which will be rolled out across 23 informal settlements across the country, is expected to provide more than 26,000 youths with immediate job opportunities as the country battles the coronavirus pandemic.
Over 5,000 youths living in Mandera have been enlisted in the second phase of Kazi Mtaani program, where they'll be expected to undertake daily sanitation and environmental preservation duties in their respective settlements. Mandera East Deputy County Commissioner Solomon Cheboton, while launching the second phase of the program in Mandera town, urged youth to shun drugs and substance abuse and instead use the proceeds to better their standards of living.
Mambo ya madawa ya kulevya pia tuangalie, pombe, bangi na mambo mengine. Nyinyi ni vijana, hii inadhuru afya yenu, na nyinyi ndio watu tunawategemea. Mvutaji bangi hawezi kufanya kazi kubwa ambayo tunapatiana leo.
A similar initiative has seen 3,000 youths in Busia benefit from the Kazi Mtaani program, which was rolled out across the county in collaboration with the county government of Busia. Speaking in Busia Stadium during the launch of the program, Deputy Governor Moses Mulomi advised youth to maintain discipline and avoid social ills that could impact negatively on their lives.
But when the youth become challenged, then the country as a whole is challenged, because you are the future of this country. No matter what happens, you are going to play a bigger role, and it will continue growing every day.
And when launching the program in Majengo slums in Nyeri County, Central Regional Commissioner Wilfred Nyagwanga urged youth to take up the program seriously to better their lives and boost local economy. And leaders from Mavoko sub-county have challenged Machakos County leadership to seize the free manpower provided by the national government through Kazi Mtaani program to improve the environment in the area. The leaders say the Kazi Mtaani initiative will provide free manpower to develop units led by experienced team leaders from National Youth Service.
You have labor which has been paid by the national government. You still have your labor of the county government. Sasa ukiongezewa hawa, utasema kuna tashwishi yoyote?
We must say no to pollution in Mlolongo. Tutaanza hii mambo ya kusafisha takataka, alafu tuanze ugonjwa ingine ya mapafu. Kwa hivyo ninaomba viongozi wote tushirikiane pamoja, tuhakikishe wananchi wetu wanaishi kwa mazingira masafi.
In Githunguri, Assistant County Commissioner Felicitas Gumbau is calling on youth who are undertaking the program to spend money they receive from the program wisely to improve their lives.
When opportunity comes and you grab it, like now you already in the system, munafanya kazi. It doesn't matter how long. What matters is the discipline that you'll have with the money that you'll be paid. Na nimeambia the other groups, hakuna kitu ya umuhimu when you are paid money. If you don't save that money, then you are as useless as those who are jobless.
Takuwa idle, takuwa busy, will not engage in drugs, early pregnancy, and we are happy.
Unaweza tafuta tu kitu yenye unaweza fanya in the meantime. Kasa hivi venye kuna corona, si lazima ushinda tu hapo home. Kaa umekaa umezubaa. Unaweza tafuta tu kitu unaweza fanya na ikukimu kimaisha.
Beneficiaries will be paid 455 shillings every day for the 6-month-long program that will see them engaged in 11 days only in a month in a move aimed at cushioning vulnerable communities from the adverse effects of COVID-19 pandemic.
Some good news indeed for the Kenyan youth. Now we want to focus on other matters. 20 people from Samburu County are set to benefit from a chicken rearing program as part of efforts to cushion vulnerable communities from the adverse effects of the coronavirus pandemic. The program, by a local community-based organization dubbed NEST, will enable beneficiaries cater for their family needs from the proceeds.
It has been testing times for most Kenyans as the effects of the coronavirus pandemic continue to take its toll. For a group of 20 people in Samburu County, an initiative that will see them benefit from a chicken rearing program could not have come at a better time. So far, 2 people at Lendero village have each received 10 chickens for rearing to enable them cater for the family needs, courtesy of Nest chicken rearing program.
Tulifikiria kuwapea kuku juu one ni easy kwao to take care of these chickens. Kuku hawana gharama nyingi, watapea tu chakula, watakula chakula within.
Nest founder Silvana Lesuda says the project will enable beneficiaries earn a living from money received from the proceeds.
Hata akiwa na hizi kuku ataweza kuuza hizi mayai na ataweza kujoin, yani atakuwa analipa hii merry-go-round vizuri. Also itamsaidia kwa nutrients, chakula, vitu nyingi, as in itasaidia tu familia vizuri.
The initiative receiving plaudits from the beneficiaries who say it will help them find their footing during the coronavirus pandemic.
Nashukuru project ambao imesaidia huyu mtoto wangu ili apate kuendelea na maisha. Au kuku watasaidia kwa sababu kwa wakati wanakuanga na merry-go-round ambapo inatakiwa contribute kitu kama shilingi 200 kwa siku. Kwa hivyo imesaidia sana.
For Channel 1 News, I am Emily Keipade.
Now we take you globally. The World Health Organization has issued a warning that the coronavirus pandemic could indeed get far worse if countries around the world do not follow the basic healthcare precautions. Over 13.2 million people around the world have been diagnosed with COVID-19, with about 7.7 million having already recovered. At least 575,000 fatalities have been recorded since the pandemic was first reported. This is according to data from Johns Hopkins University.
World Health Organization Director General Tedros Adhanom told a virtual briefing from WHO headquarters in Geneva that there was a likelihood of the coronavirus getting worse if the set guidelines are not adhered to. The United States has been grappling with the worst coronavirus outbreak in the world, with Florida shattering the national record for a state's largest single-day increase in new confirmed cases. This comes as Canada and the United States plan to extend a ban on non-essential travel. Meanwhile, the British government is expected to announce that people will have to wear masks when they go into a shop from July 24th, later today. Masks have been required on public transport since June 15th, and border restrictions between Malaysia and Singapore will be eased to support essential business and official traffic, as well as the movement of residents who have long-term work permits for either country. In the meantime, the United Nations has warned that the pandemic may push another 132 million people into chronic hunger by the end of the year. In its latest report, the UN called on governments to adopt a set of policy tools to help people afford quality, nutritious food. This as the wave of coronavirus cases connected with Beijing's wholesale market that began in June appears to have been brought under control, with no new cases of the disease reported in the Chinese capital for 8 successive days. And people in Hong Kong are preparing for the toughest curbs yet to control the coronavirus, as authorities warn that the risk of a large-scale outbreak in the territory remained extremely high. Elsewhere, Ebola is spreading in the Western Democratic Republic of Congo, with nearly 15 known cases across a region bordering the Republic of Congo and the Central African Republic, according to World Health Organization. Globally, more than 575,000 people have died from COVID-19, according to data from Johns Hopkins University. United States, Brazil, the United Kingdom, Mexico, and Italy have recorded the most deaths. For Channel 1 News, I am Emily Keipade.
In the world of business, the latest is that despite efforts by the government to upscale virtual learning in Kenya, unreliable internet connectivity and expensive data is putting a damper on these efforts. Statistics by research firm Usawa Agenda shows that only 25 learners out of 100 have uninterrupted access to virtual learning, with the majority of them in Nairobi. The government now being urged to expedite rolling out loan services in undeserved rural areas which are worst affected.
Kenya's poor internet connectivity has been exposed in the last 4 months after the government closed schools to contain the spread of COVID-19. Efforts by schools to migrate learners to online platform has been frustrated by various factors such as poor internet connectivity and expensive bundles. Despite Kenya's high mobile phone penetration that stands at more than 110%, internet connectivity, on the other hand, lags, with only 1 in 5 people having access to internet. The situation is worse in far-flung areas where only 3.7% of the population can connect to the virtual space.
The challenges for students outside urban centers is that they may not have smartphones, or they may not have access to data bundles or internet connectivity. So we are partnering with KEF to provide hard copies of books.
The research by Usawa Agenda shows that only 10 out of 100 learners accessed digital KICD material, 42 out of 100 digital learners accessed TV lessons, and 27 out of 100 are following up on the materials sent via WhatsApp by their respective schools. Last week, the Ministry of ICT launched the Loan Project, which seeks to bring internet access to rural communities. A new project by Prudential Insurance seeks to ameliorate this challenge by providing 15,000 schools in the country with the computers, internet infrastructure and learning kits to disadvantaged schools in the country. O'Brien Kiman for Business, Lunchtime News.
And elsewhere, completion of 192 kilometers road network linking Kibwezi, Mutomo and Kitui now hangs in the balance as a result of unresolved land acquisition. The contractor of the project is yet to acquire 38-kilometer section of the project, which could stretch completion timeline. The National Lands Commission is being called upon to fast-track the dispute with the project-affected persons to avert cost overruns.
The project, which started in August 2017, is expected to be completed in February 2021, with 153 kilometers to be complete within the next 30 days. However, the 18.4 billion shillings project has caused untold pain and suffering to residents who are yet to be compensated. According to its contractor, Sino Hydro Corporation Limited, 38-kilometer section of the road works most likely will be suspended if the current land acquisition issues are not resolved. The National Highways Authority, the project's implementation agency, and the National Land Commission are yet to compensate project-affected persons and those whose land was earmarked for acquisition for expansion of the road. With 1 year to go, delays in the relocation of power lines along the corridor, shortage of water for the works, pending land acquisition and demands for payment of cess by Kitui County Government are some of the bottlenecks that are slowing down the project.
Tunahakika kwamba uchumi wetu na hata mapato tunayopata shambani yataweza kuwa yanapata soko, kwa sababu hii itamaanisha wasafiri watakuwa wengi kupitia barabara hii kutoka Mombasa kupitia hapa, na watainua uchumi.
Co-founded by the government and Export-Import Bank of China, the 192-kilometer Kibwezi-Mutomo-Kitui road is expected to ease transport within the eastern region, as well as open up the hinterlands to investors.
Hii barabara ikiwa kwa lami italeta manufaa mengi. Kibiashara yote itapanuka kuhusu kwenda na ngari. Kazi yangu mimi ni mwendaji wa bodaboda, na hiyo biashara itainuka.
Regina Manyara reporting for Channel 1 Business.
And now we focus on matters sports. Leaders Real Madrid moved to within one win of the La Liga title after surviving a scare against Granada. France defender Ferland Mendy opened the scoring with a ferocious finish from the tight angle before countryman Karim Benzema doubled the lead. Gareth Bale was once again an unused substitute as Real scored twice in 6 first-half minutes before the hosts hit back. Wales forward Bale, who has been at the Real since 2013, has started just 12 La Liga matches this season. He has not played since being substituted in the 2-0 win over Mallorca on the 24th of June.
From the program Wesley to improve their lives. Beneficiaries will be paid 455 shillings every day for the 6-month-long program that will see them engaged in.
Sok Ja admitted Manchester United didn't deserve to win after Southampton grabbed a last-minute equaliser to draw 2-2 at Old Trafford. United missed the chance to move third in the Premier League as the result left them in 5th place with 1 point separating themselves, Chelsea and Leicester, in the race of the 2 positions in the next season's Champions League. United have failed to win 2 Premier League games at Old Trafford thanks to a goal conceded in the 90th minute this season, yet in their previous 519 Premier League home games prior to this term, they had only drawn 1 game courtesy of a 9th-minute strike. All right, and my time is up right here in studio. My name is Serfine Achieng Oma. Our sign language interpreter has been Lucy Maura. Thank you so much for creating time for us. We're still working on quite a number of stories for you, so catch us in our subsequent news bulletins at 7 p.m. and at 9 p.m. But for now, have a lovely afternoon and enjoy the rest of your viewing.